Okay.
Hello.
Hi, guys.
Hi, it's Double A, and today we are going to discuss a cold case that happened in 1937, and it's the case of Herman Edward Wilhelm Luhrsen. Now, Mr. Luhrsen was born on December the 4th in 1886 in Sauk County, Wisconsin, and he died on February the 14th, 1937, at the age of 50. So this did take place 83 years ago in Rockton, Winnebago County, Illinois, here in the USA. We do know that his parents, which were Peter and Augusta, they had passed away before he did. They both, I take it back. Peter, his father, passed away the year after he did. Other than that, everyone else passed away before him. His mother
Of like
passed away.
natural causes?
It's not determined because the case doesn't really talk about them too much. So we
Mm.
just know that his mother passed away in 1933. His sister passed away in 1928. His sister's name was Hilda. His wife passed away in 1934, and his wife was Etta May. And his son passed away in 1935, and his son was Richard. So nearly everyone passed away before he did. And I thought his father passed away before him, but it was literally the year later.
Mm.
But it's still sad, nonetheless, that literally the whole family
And they
died.
died. They died really close to each
Yeah,
other.
really did. And that was I don't know how much, the healthcare was back then because I wasn't alive back then. So I don't know if they didn't have just adequate medications and healthcare services, or if it was just their time. It was freak accidents. I have no clue on that. And to be honest, I didn't research their deaths because I didn't want to take away from the case and make
Mm.
it more about family. I just wanted to note that at the time of his death, he was pretty much a loner because he didn't have anybody.
Right.
Um, So, what happened was on February the 12th, 1937, around about 8:45, Mr. Herman was working at the gas station that he owned. He was in the back office, which may have had a viewpoint of the counter, the front door, the register, and all that, but it's unclear in all the sites I looked. It's unclear if he surely for a fact did or not. Not a lot of people knew what the layout was. So
Mm.
we're uncertain of how much he actually was able to see, but we do know that he was in the office, probably most likely doing the counting of money and the end of the day stuff that goes with owning a business. We know that he heard a door open, but again, we don't know if he really saw it or just heard it. So at that point, an armed man came in. Of course, if an armed man comes in, he's gonna rob. He's just not gonna come in brandishing a gun and then just leave. He's gonna rob you.
Mm.
So that happened. He had a face mask on, and it was really just a dark handkerchief, and just his eyes were available. And then his gun, it was a nickel plated gun, and he aimed it at Mr. Herman. And then, of course, that's when he commits to robbing him. Let's see. We know that Mr. Herman he got punished by the robber because he's old. He was 50, and he was going slow. He wasn't doing what he wanted in a timely manner. And
Mm.
so for that, he got shot in his stomach. And still he couldn't really comply because not only was he already slow, but now he's got a gunshot wound. So that's making him even more slow. So
Right.
he's not doing this fast enough. The robber's getting impatient and is getting pissed off. And at this point, the robber just decides to take stuff out of his pockets and not fully get the stuff out of the register. So what he came up with out of this pockets, girl, he removed about $23 out of his pocket and left.
Back
So this
then,
man,
$23 was quite a bit, though.
yeah,
Back
but
then.
I'm just saying, like, I mean, back then, $23 couldn't have been more than about 70 or 80 here. Honestly, it's not like it's going to be $100.
Yeah, but it depends on the person that was robbing them, because you run the risk of staying there longer to get a whole bunch of stuff out of the register
Mm.
than it is to just get that $23 from that man and run.
I just think it was petty. He just shot him in the stomach and then just took his little pocket money. I mean, this is a store that he worked his life for. He owned this
Mhm.
store. It was his baby. And he just got shot in the stomach, and the contents of the contents of his pockets were rummaged. At the time that this happened, he was not dead. He was still clinging to life. But the robber made a break and left. And of course, around this time, I'm sure a silent alarm was activated or something notifying the police come because the police showed up. And he was still fully conscious, and he was able to participate in an interview, and he was able to tell us that the robber was a male. He was about mid-30s. He was 6 feet tall, and he looked to be roughly about 155 pounds. And he looked like he was raggedy, so he also described him of wearing like a light color hat, no overcoat, may or may not have worn glasses because he really didn't get to see his face. And because that the robber didn't have an overcoat, the police thought that he had a getaway car nearby. So people people are like to when they recant this, because of course this is old, we don't really have much on but a hearsay. When people recant this, they act as if everything went in slow motion, which I can see that because that's such a traumatic event that
Mhm.
even though it's going fast, it's still going slow in your head.
Right.
So I can see how this was a bit shaken up. I would be shaken up too, especially if customers saw the owner of the store get shot in the stomach.
So was the customer like hidden?
Now, it does not state in any of the police reports or any of the accounts that I found, it does not state, if there was a definitive customer in the store. I'm just assuming if
Right.
there was a customer in the store. I'm just assumption. So, guys listening, that is not listed, and it may or may not be true. I'm just assuming because this is a store and it's 1937 and people need stuff from the store. So I'm
Do
just
we
assuming.
what around what time did this happen?
This is around 8:45. Like, this is a gas station. So
Okay.
it may stay open a little bit later, but I'm sure I think back then stuff closed about 9 or 10. It didn't stay open all night. I'm assuming, I'm not sure. But
Did it tell you anywhere like where the gas station was located? Like if there was if there was a field near it or
no,
if it was
give
surrounded
any
by houses?
they didn't give any landmarks or anything like that. They were very general. Like I said, this case is about 80 something years old. So if there was even better evidence or better knowledge, it's gotten mixed up in the passing on after the generation. So I got from a couple of sites the gist of the same thing. So it's almost bare minimum, but it's still good detail. It's just it was kind of he really didn't he was the one that was telling the police what happened, and since he was the one that was in the back room and then he got shot, he didn't get a full look of everything, so we're going on partial sight here.
Right.
Now, what happens while it's described as being in slow motion is that here at the time, Herman was slow crawling back to his office. Let's see, he had a 22 caliber revolver somewhere in that office, and he's trying to get it. He stated at the point that he had tried to go get it that the robber was somewhere still in the store, and acting as if he wasn't in a hurry to leave. So he's able to get his gun now, and he's got sight that the robber is definitively still in the store. So he aims at the robber, and he proceeds to shoot the robber twice. At that point, the robber did get to leave, and he did not opt to fire back. He just left. He's like, "Fuck it, I'm gone," and he left. So at this point, we're wondering, did the robber drop the gun? Did he care about shooting him for real? What was happening? Why did, if the robber was so gun ho on shooting him, why didn't he defend himself when Herman decided to protect himself and shoot back? So we don't know what happened to the robber's gun at that point. We just know there was an altercation. He shot Herman. Herman shot back.
So it's safe to assume that the cops took a while to get to Herman.
So
I would figure.
And it seems like the officers were trying to like flip it and say that he was shot with his own gun. But that doesn't make sense if he was shot first and then he crawled back to get his gun. How could he have been shot with his own gun?
Right.
That I had to dismiss that. I was like, that you're not going to discredit him because now he's deceased. You're not going to do that and act as if he basically was like bullied into getting shot.
Now, where was this again?
This happened in Illinois.
Okay.
Winnebago County. So
no, like I want to say I don't think they had like a a lot of places near a gas station, because like what I'm seeing, because like going by old documentaries and old like movies and things like that, they depict times back then to be like the stores to be not so close to each other. There's always like a field nearby. And then you're in Illinois. Illinois already got quite a bit of fields if you're not in the main cities.
And then around that time, I'm not thinking that they had any kind of surveillance. So
no, there's definitely no like cameras.
So there's no definitive proof on what actually happened in the store. All we have is the word of the man that was shot. So police put their spin on it, and they're saying that it's very, very possible that he was shot with his own gun, basically saying that he shot himself.
And there's really no proof to like get rid of that claim.
Right, because they backed themselves up. They're saying that they don't believe there's a robber, that he shot himself because there was only one bullet found in the gas station. It had hit the extinguisher near the door. So if he was shot in the stomach and then he shot twice at the robber, why did they only see one bullet? Where did the other bullet that was being shot at the robber go? Of course, the initial one was in his stomach, so we know where bullet 1 is. Bullet 2's on the floor near the fire extinguisher by the front, I guess, the entrance door. So where's this third bullet that everybody's talking about? So based on there not being a third bullet, they're assuming it's self-inflicted. And he also it was also noted that while he was doing all this crawling on the floor, he called his wife, and his wife calls Marshall Theodore Graves. And this person, I have no clue who this person is, but this person is the one that called the deputy. And the deputy is Sheriff William Gottfried.
Okay, so why didn't he call himself?
That was the question put out there, because the initial report made me feel like there was some kind of ESP, like he probably pushed a button or something, because how else would the police pop up? But then I later found that it's because he called his wife called somebody else, and then that somebody else called the sheriff. I was like, that's too much of there's too many people to go through for you to get help if you just got shot in the stomach.
Now,
So
unless he thinks that he was dying, but I'm more like the more I'm listening to it, the more I'm kind of leaning towards the police officers.
yeah,
Wait, hold on. He called his wife.
yeah,
This happened in 1936.
1937.
1937. When did his wife pass away?
That's what I wanted to tell you. His wife passed away in 1934. So think about that.
So did he have a second wife?
There's no public record of that. On his death certificate, like where his tombstone is, they also uploaded information about his family. There is no word of a second wife. I even looked into ancestry.com. There's no other wife. There's only this one wife, and the wife's name is Etta Mae Case Luhrsen. She was born in 1888 and passed away in 1934. That's the only ties to him being married. So
Then who
now
the hell did he call? Okay, hold on. Did he tell the police that he called his wife first?
I'm not sure who is relaying this part of the information. It's just in the report. So I'm not sure. It doesn't say he said he did or we said he did. It just says he called his wife called Marshall called deputy. And then Marshall comes onto the scene at this time and then gets with Herman. So now he's sitting there with Herman. And then from there, I guess he drives Herman to the hospital. And at this point, he passes away about 1:20 something in the morning of Valentine's Day. And then it also states that he was surrounded by his family. But I just read to you the death dates of all the members. Every last member of his family was already dead before 1937. The only one that was alive was his father.
But there were claims that his family was around him?
Yeah, he said it was surrounded by family in the hospital. I'm still trying to figure out where this mystery wife came from. And then there was the talk.
Did he have a secret family that just nobody knew about?
That's what I'm wondering, because you can't research into the family. I mean, there's probably some listeners out there that are more on the FBI type investigative stuff and could probably pull up a whole family out of nowhere. But your girl Amber cannot do that. I cannot pull up another family. So I'm just going on basic.
It just seems like he had a separate family if his family was so called there.
That we do not know, because now we can't even interview him because he's been dead for 83 years. But so we go on to say that the police believe that since it was a quote-unquote slow motion robbery and people thought he was already trying to kill himself, that this was his attempt at suicide, or he already knew who was going to kill him. So there's no motive. There's no motive at all, because there's an unknown, a huge unknown. So we have no motive. We have gunshot wound to the stomach and supposed 2 shots at a robber. Unknown robber.
I can see where they make that claim, because like the more I listen to it, like I said, it just points in that direction.
Yeah. So they continue with their investigation, okay? And this was the very next day. So this is the span. This all started on the 12th. And then the 13th, I guess he was just in the hospital on the 13th. And then the 14th, that morning, 1:23 that morning, he passed away. So now on the 15th, they come up and say, we are able to rule out an attempted suicide because Mr. Luhrsen was killed with a .38 caliber and his weapon was a .22 caliber. Also, they had another interesting detail, that the .38 caliber bullet that killed him was an old bullet. And it said that it had been in the gun's chamber for a while, and the gun had not been used in a long, long time. So they are assuming this is an antique weapon, or a weapon that was in a collection. So that was where everything got hung up in. And at that point, it turned to a cold case because they have no guy that they can truly identify, nobody that they can question. He's passed away. There's two different two different types of guns being used. There's literally no motive, and they have no one that they can interview. So it turns cold, and it's been cold for 83 years.
But I mean, why didn't they, interview the citizens? Because I'm pretty sure back then it wasn't a highly populated area, so it would have been quite
Yeah,
easy to
like
interview.
I really still feel like there was patrons in this store. There had to have been customers.
It's 8 something at night, so I mean there may be like one or two.
Yeah, I'm assuming.
Maybe
I
like
just
that.
being alone. Now, if it was after like close to 10, yeah, I can see him being alone. But 8 something, I'm still kind of fairly early.
Well, think back then though, they didn't have what we have now. They didn't have cell phones just in
They,
case like anything should happen.
they still had third shift. They still had people that worked overnight. So there's still somebody that's probably going into work that needs gas. Somebody going on break that needs a quick snack. I mean, there's still logic in there. So there's still
I
a
don't
way.
know because even then though, if it was an actual robber, I would think that they would have an idea to look inside the gas stations, because if you look at gas stations from back then, they had quite a bit of windows to where you can see
That's what I'm saying.
inside.
Like,
And it being dark, you would see that there's a customer in there.
I feel like somebody would have heard that. That's now that we're up to 3 gunshots. Somebody heard that.
That's why it made me think that that gas station was isolated.
Yeah.
It wasn't around anything, because then no neighbors heard anything. If even neighbors were down the street, you would have heard a faint of a gunshot.
I'm really just hung up on how a dead wife got a phone call.
I know, in a family.
A whole entire family surrounding him. So were they mediums? Like, was everybody able to see these ghosts? How did this happen? So I really that was perturbing to me because when I read this case and I saw that, I was like, oh, cool. Then I get
Were there
on.
any theories online? Did you find any
I
theories?
I didn't research theories because of how it's being so old. I didn't want to get in a whole like macrocosm of conspiracies related to hauntings and stuff that was going to be completely inaccurate. There was no way for me to tell what had some inkling of truth to it, so I didn't want to get hung up into that.
I mean, it probably wasn't a haunting though. If more than one person seen a family in a hospital, unless they looked at a different person and just assumed that was Herman.
You
If
know what? I
say
don't
like
want.
another person came in at the same time and like someone relayed the wrong message, like that's Mr. Herman's room, or that's Mr. Herman
What
right
if,
there.
just to kind of be on his side here, what if it's just a girlfriend and maybe the girlfriend has a few kids or whatnot, and they just calling themselves husband and wife but not legally married?
That's what I was thinking, like, because you can have mistresses, so they, depending, like, we don't know, but maybe Mr. Herman had a mistress while he was married. They had the girl ended up being pregnant. Of course he can't, that would be like the talk of the town.
Yeah.
So maybe they just didn't get married, because this was how long after his wife died, like 2 years, 3 years.
Yeah, she passed away in 34 and he passed away in 37. So that's
Yeah.
3 years.
So I mean, they could easily be like, well, not going to get married, and him being of that age.
Yeah, I'm just.
So it could be multiple things, either wrong information relayed, and a nurse or a doctor, well, not really a doctor, but just a nurse that's not attending to Mr. Herman, thought that that was Mr. Herman, and it's not really him, and it'll be a different patient with a whole bunch of families surrounding him.
Yeah, so I was confused.
Because
So
there's multiple people that die the same day.
yeah, okay. So what I just told you guys was the first bit of information I gathered in my first initial research, and then I revisited it, and I came up with some things that kind of could help us make it a little bit clearer, um, on if someone actually might have saw it or not. Because I was really researching. And like I said, I was trying to stay away from theories. I wanted to get actual facts because this case is so weird that I didn't want to tangle it with what might have been. I wanted to really try to hone in on what actually happened. So when I did my second round of looking through the cold case files everywhere, there was some talks. So I think, Arianne, your powers of deductions are pretty strong. I give you that. So Arianne's never heard about this case. I never told her what I was discussing. So I just wanted to hear what she had to say. So what she told you is how she really felt. So now I'm going to tell you the other stuff that I found out, so you can see how good our little Arianne is.
Oh gosh.
So that was a good discussion. So okay, so this is the rest of what I found out. Um, there's a different angle. So on February the 17th, police said that they heard from a couple that drove past Mr. Herman's home at the time of robbery. They saw an unknown car parked close by his house. They stated that there were two men in his house. And now his home is literally 50 feet away from the gas station.
Huh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So then they noticed that the car sped past them. And the car was going down a street called South Beloit. I'm not from Illinois, so I don't know where this is. But anybody from Illinois, help a sister out and let me know what is going on here. Um, the police were completely unsuccessful in finding where the car was and who the men were. So there's a possibility that there was a connection, but it's not anything definitive at this moment. Let's see. On February 15th, nope, I already told you guys that. I'm reading my notes, guys. Don't bother me. So authorities did end up questioning an unidentified woman and her husband. So here, Arianne, this unidentified woman was apparently having an affair with Herman. She told the police that their relationship was friendly.
Oh, that's why she ended up calling someone else.
But listen, he ended their friendly relationship to remarry. Yeah.
Like, was he supposed to remarry
Somebody else, not her.
like after he passed away?
He,
Like years
no,
later, if he was still alive, if he would have still been alive, he would have.
he was a different woman, not her. Is a whole different woman. That's not even.
Okay.
Yeah. So the wife is dead. He's having an affair with the married woman. Married woman's upset because the affair is broken off because he has interest in marrying someone else.
Huh. Huh.
And now at this point, while the police are doing this investigation, Herman is passed away. somebody had to get into his gas station to keep the business going. So guess who ended up running his estate?
The wife.
Somebody named Gilbert Bradley. No clue who that is.
Oh my gosh.
Somebody named Gilbert. Now,
So
you
it had
must
to be somebody that he was close to.
had to be because he couldn't be a part of his estate without being named in a will.
Right.
So this is somebody he obviously had to trust. So a few months later, December 10th, 1937, Mr. Bradley was searching for oil cans. And this is when he stumbled upon a trap door to the gas station's attic. What he found in there was bundles of some quote unquote not so friendly letters from a woman. And guess who that woman was?
The married woman.
Yes, it was. And now we can identify her. The woman's name was Nellie Walmer.
I thought you said Walmart.
So now, with this new information, this puts them, Mr. and Mrs. Walmer, right into the center of attention. Because now we know who the lady is. We know now we have motive. Because now there's a pissed off husband.
Yeah.
There's an affair. So now we have motive. So what the letters was basically breaking down, the gist of it was Herman ended the relationship with Nellie. He was wanting to marry this woman called Myrtle E. Tyler.
Myrtle.
Yeah, and he wanted to marry her the year before he passed away. He wanted to marry her in 36. So now we see where the second wife comes from.
But why didn't he marry her?
He did. He married her in 36.
Oh, okay. So he did marry her.
That was his second wife. But why she's not mentioned in his death records or on Ancestry or anywhere in connection with him, I really honestly don't know that. But I liked leading you around the field just to see where your brain was going.
My brain is like everywhere right now. Like it's everywhere. Okay, so let me get this straight. Okay, so he ended up remarrying from his dead wife who passed away in 1934. Ended up marrying another lady, Myrtle, in 1936. But before then, he ended the affair he had with Nellie.
Right.
Okay. Do we know how soon he ended that affair versus when he remarried?
That I did not get a definitive on that. All I can tell you is Nellie was pissed off. She was not happy. She was not having it. And now she's feeling scorned and rejected. So what does she do? She writes very threatening letters to get revenge.
Do we think that she is in on it?
Oh, definitely. I believe her and her husband. She has motive. She's a scorned ex-lover, pissed off. And the husband has motive because he's just been cheated on. He's angry. So there's a lot of feelings involved in this. So
I just want to know more about this Nellie person because, like, I want to know how manipulative she is to have her husband in on it.
Yeah, let's tell you what I found out. They ended up getting arrested on December the 12th, 1937, and they went to the Winnebago County Jail. There, Nellie was trying to explain that she did write these letters. They were threatening. She was upset, but no way would she ever attempt to try to carry out any of the threats that she did list in these letters.
Right.
And then she stated she had an alibi for the night that he was killed. Her and her husband they had relatives over at their home. And her brother-in-law confirmed that family was in the home. So on December 14th, the husband and wife had to do lie detector test. Results came back on the 17th, and the results were made public. So you guys can look up these lie detector test results. The Walmers passed the test, and at that point, they were released from custody and were free to go. So that got pushed out. And so they did this. So the officers did discuss many different angles, and none of the angles could be proven to be tied to the crime scene or to Herman. And none of the angles had any holding up to where this third bullet was, and there was nothing clear. The most convincing motive would have came from the Walmers, but since they got released and cleared, we're back at square one now. Who killed Herman Edward Wilhelm Luhrsen? We don't know. So we're gonna go a couple of years later. We're at March 23rd, 1940. This is when the authorities said, hey, we're going to open this case again and figure out what's going on. On the 27th, a few days later, they decided to interview his late wife, the new one, Myrtle. And she said that she doubted the robbery was the motive for her husband's murder. And that was it. And that's all we have. That's all she wrote on it. So we had a little whirlwind there. We had all over the place information. We had a secret love affair. We had revenge letters and a new wife. And now we all are unclear of who the hell killed Herman. Why did they want him dead? What happened to Herman? That's where we're left at. And I was like, man, this case is crazy.
I mean, when you said he called his wife, and I was like, wait, but you just said his wife died in 1934. How the hell did she?
Right. I was like, this was deep. I was like, my people with the Double A Crime Files is gonna love this case because it's juicy, but it's unsolved.
There's so many holes.
So many.
There's so many possibilities, and it's like ridiculous. Like you can't just pinpoint one thing, and that's the thing. Sometimes you have to think inside the box because it's the simplest thing, or you have to think of the most outrageous.
Right. Because I was like, case. I'm like, man, was my boy Herman a part of the witness protection crew? What the hell is happening here? Somebody wanted his life. I don't know. It was
the people that drove by his house. They confirmed that it was two males, not a man and a female.
Correct. They said there was two males that they saw, and they just sped up. And we do know that the home and his gas station are fairly close. They're within 50 feet. So
okay.
they're on the
Bear
road.
with me here. How, depending on how manipulative Nellie is, because I really want to know how manipulative she is.
I feel like she's psycho, girl.
I think so. Her brother-in-law, which is her husband's brother, right? Vouch saying that there was relatives there. They didn't talk to any other family member that was there. They talked to just one particular person, right? Happened to be a male.
Right.
So
you're on the
do you think it may have been possible that she manipulated her brother-in-law or manipulated her husband, who then recruited the brother?
I definitely do. I definitely do. That was what I was thinking this whole time. I was like, it's definitely because, the brother's going to be all ride or die for the husband. Husband is so stupidly in love with this psycho chick that he's going to do whatever. And the chick is so...
Yeah,
yeah, it's like to me, it all lays with the Wallums, or however you say it, Wallums, whatever.
I
It
need
like
to know, I
them.
need to know their entire family now. Like I need
Yeah.
to have information on their entire family.
So, guys, this is what we're gonna do. Arianne is gonna do her investigative skills because she's way better at that than me. Sunday, she's gonna come back and tell you all about their family. I guarantee
I
she will.
cannot make any promises, but I will look it up because I am like more interested about this Nelly chick
Yes.
than anything. Because like if you think about it, if you're a woman in scorn, depending on how like Herman must have been the shit. Like
Oh,
for her to be like, "Oh hell no, you ain't fixing to leave me."
he is
Like
slang.
I mean, because in my point of view, if you're a woman, like,
Yeah.
and you're so gung ho, like you know that you're pretty, you know that you're smart, you know you've got everything going for you. If a guy, you know, breaks up with you, wouldn't it be easier to be like, okay, let me move on? There's a line full of guys for me, right? So
I
like
with this
Herman
girl.
must have been Herman must have been some real good.
I'm saying he's over there slanging it to the east and slanging it to the west with these
He,
ladies.
I mean, there ain't no other way. Cause then she's thinking, okay, she just cheated on her husband with this guy. Now this guy doesn't even want her. Wants finds another woman. Cause like, if you really think about it, if you're dating a guy that you're so in love with, and then turns out that he doesn't think of you as a wife material, as someone that you can't bring home to mom and dad, to family members, but finds another person and is like, nope, I found someone better than you.
And you think about that. Why would he want to bring her home if she's got a whole entire fucking husband?
Right.
So of
But
course he's gonna
she's probably
ruin her.
she just is really really butthurt that
Oh,
maybe she was wanting to leave her husband.
but it doesn't matter if she was wanting to leave him or not. Think about it. If she was so quick to have an affair with him, do you really think that he would trust her to actually be with her? Or I don't.
Well, maybe she was hoping so because he had so much heartache and so much loss.
But did he really? If he was deciding to marry this chick, and he actually married the chick a year before he died, do you really think he would have been heartache, like in heartache? I really
Well,
think that he might have still mourned his late wife, but he was already married at the point that he died.
I feel like I really need to know one about her family and her situation with her and her husband.
Yeah.
And then I need to know information on his second wife. Like
Um.
when did they meet?
Yeah.
How
I
like
want to know more
how
about
was
Myrtle too.
their dating? Because like if they lived in a small town, which I assume at that time word gets around rather quickly.
And since
Um,
we've never heard of Tobago, I'm sure that's a small town.
I mean, I've heard of it, but it's like not like one of those major cities, I don't think.
Yeah.
And like 1930s, I probably doubt it. So like still, word goes around. I mean, in where I'm at, word goes around. Where I'm at. And it's like so Nellie must have heard it that he was getting remarried.
Well,
Must have.
he told
No, I
her.
mean before then.
And I'm sitting here wondering, did Myrtle know about Nellie? How honest was Herman to Myrtle to say, hey, I've been, casually seeing this lady that has a husband, but I'm also seeing you, but I really just want to be with you and leave her alone. Will you marry me? That's what I'm wondering. Is that how the conversation went? How
Yeah, because I
honest?
really want to know when they started dating. Like, because there's a short time. Believe it or not, that's a short time from
It is.
when your first wife passed to when you marry this girl. And I know back then it was very okay to like date someone and marry someone within a few months. You
But
know?
in between these two marriages is a whole entire affair. It's like he never stopped sleeping with the women.
Yeah, I wanna know how long this affair was. Like,
Exactly.
was he
Like,
with Nelly right before his wife passed, or was it after his wife passed, and
with
it was just an
re-
affair with between because Nelly was married, or was it an affair on both sides?
yeah, I'm so invested in this. I'm so vested in this. Like, this case is so interesting. It's such a hot mess, and it's unsolved, which pisses me off because we don't have an ending to this. It is such. This should be a TV show. It's
I
so.
cannot stand those those cases where it's like there's multiple endings.
Yep.
You just want to be able, like, I hate it just as much as you know that it's a particular person, but yet the police are just like, we're gonna go around this. I'm like, no, you have the specific evidence right there in front of you.
Yeah.
This kills me even more because I'm just like, oh, home,
Yeah.
you are.
I'm this whole thing has the Willems or Walmarts or whatever they are. It has their name written all over it. Like this, all over it. I don't
They
see
really
it.
do. I mean, because if they didn't interview any other family member, like you would think they'd be like, okay, well, list all your relatives that was in
Yeah,
your house, because you said relatives as in plural, as in more than one.
exactly. That's what it says there. I'm also just. Why isn't Myrtle listed on anything tied to him other than police reports?
And why didn't she get his estate?
And who is this Brady guy? Guys, this case has me wondering a lot. This case has to have a part 2 to it. We need info. I want to know, did you kill Herman, Edward, Wilhelm, Luhrsen? Let me know. I'm not going to snitch on you. I just need an ending to this case.
Look, just don't speak in my dreams, okay? Because like I know you're dead and all, but like I get freaked out very
You can kind of
easily.
let me tell nobody.
just just go to the police or something. Go to their dreams and be like,
No.
oh yeah, so this is what happened, and let us read it through the news that way.
Like, okay, guys, I have no further information for this case. Unfortunately, there is a lot of holes in this case, and there's a lot of different ways this can go. I just really feel strong about the Walmers, but I, of course, can't say definitively that they did it. So please weigh in and let us know what you think, and if you know anything more than what I know, which you probably do, and let
Look, if
us know.
y'all are related to the Walmers, if
Please
y'all
let
are related to any one of them,
me, Mr. Gilbert Brady, if you're hearing this, please email us.
or
We have and
grandkids of Mr. Brady.
let us know because this is such an interesting hot mess of a case. But rest in peace to the whole Luhrsen family. And again, we're not here to like make fun of the death or glorify the death. We just really, really want to know who the hell killed him.
There's just a lot of information, and like we'll laugh because it's just how, like, it's just so ridiculous how many questions there are,
Right?
and like even if those questions are answered, it still will not fill up the whole
Yeah.
of the whole
So
situation.
this is to me this is a really good case to discuss because the fact that there's so many different angles and there's twisted love stories, there's lots of quote unquote entanglements going on. So
I feel like I should have been a police officer because, like, I mean, I would question anything and everyone. And it seems like in any of these cold cases, these police officers don't question anybody.
question, they don't, because I'm sitting over here like okay, I don't know, you don't know, how the freak are we gonna come up with of course there's no perp because you didn't ask anybody anything.
I would have been asked everybody, everything, list anybody, everybody that you know, seen you at that location and at that time.
Yeah. In this case, it's like it was so hard for me to do as much research as I could. There's not even any pictures. The only picture I could get is his tombstone. Like
Wow.
that, there's like so many unknowns. If you are related to Luhrsen family and have a photo of him, please forward it to me. I'm interested in seeing what Mr. Hot Stuff looked.
I want to know what was the street that they were on? The
Uh,
people drove on Burr something.
South Beloit, I believe. Oh, and if you can get a full body photo of Mr. Luhrsen, I want to see which direction he was slinging it in. Okay.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, he was slinging it. He was pimping. He was getting it. So yeah, guys, this case was on Herman Edward Wilhelm Luhrsen, and Luhrsen is Luhrsen, and I will also, of course, put this in the title of this for the podcast and for our YouTube. Please do your own research. Let us know what you can find out. Help us out, and on Sunday we may come back with some a minimum. You know what I'm trying to say. It's 10:20. I cannot talk. But anyway, we'll get you back with whatever. I'm sure that Officer Arianne over there
Oh,
is
I'm
gonna
already trying to look up the street because I just want to know the street that they were driving on and
see if you
how
can.
long it goes.
But okay, guys, I'm going to get the picture, the only picture I have, which is his tombstone, and get it posted for you guys. Just keep it on, and let us know what you find out. And if you like this case, I really like this case. I think so far this is the favorite case that I have.
Wait, what city? What was the city again?
Winnebago. Winnebago.
Wales.
All right. I'm going to end it here and we'll come back on Sunday. And on Sunday, I have something I've been working on that I wanted to talk to you guys, mainly Arianne. I have to pick her brain because I pick on her all the time. So I wanted to talk to you guys about something on Sunday. So join our live on Facebook. And if you can't watch it when I absolutely go live, just watch it afterwards. This time I'm going to do live with sharing a screen. So I'm going to have Arianne on Duo on my desktop computer, and I'm going to share my screen so you can see both of our videos side by side so you can have a conversation with both of our faces. Okay, guys?
Oh
All
gosh.
right. So this is Double A. We're signing out until Sunday.
Good
Bye.
night.